Well, the Lake District is the Lake District for a reason, and that's because it rains a lot. And instead of heading out this morning, we're going to be staying indoors with Andy Rigg, the man who developed Rigged and Ready. And I actually discovered Rigged and Ready travel rods about 5 years ago when my wife brought me an X5 Adventure for Christmas. And at the time, I was looking for a portable travel rod that would fit perfectly into my hiking and my pack rafting adventures. And then since then, I've swapped out all of my old two-piece rods for these really compact and versatile designs, and now I pretty much use them for all of my fishing needs. So from the very first rod that Andy designed and produced to the latest ideas being tested here at Rigged and Ready, we're going to be talking about the journey of the brand, compact travel rods, and what's next for both anglers here in the UK and overseas. Right, so here we are with Andy, the creator, the owner of Rigged and Ready. And I've known Andy for, like I say, for the last 5 years really, from when I first got hold of my first X5. And had a bit of a loose butt plug on the first version of that rod. And sort of just through emails and stuff, our humour and friendship has grown to what it is today. So here we are in Kendal, at the gateway to the Lake District, and I've got a few questions that we're going to fire to Andy about Rigged and Ready. So for anyone new to the name, what is Rigged and Ready in a sentence?
Very different from any other fishing rods that are out there. Everything we do is super compact to travel. They're multifunctional, so they don't just do one fishing exercise or experience. They're designed for active anglers, so people who are biking and hiking and want to get out there. You know, we don't believe in sitting there is fishing, although it's a good thing. We want people who are active and moving, and that's what our products are for. And they're totally unique, totally constructed differently from any other fishing rod. And it's taken time for it to catch on.
Yeah. So where did the idea start?
Oh God, the idea started really as a kid. You don't think you're going to ever own a fishing rod, right? I mean, that's just never the case. I was given a combination rod, and I think you got the same.
Yeah. Classic Daiwa combination.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm from a five kids, single parent family, no money. I was given a second hand one, I think, when I was 10, and that went with me everywhere. And it just stuck in my mind that why, you know, when we were kids, you had one fishing rod, and luckily ours did a few things, but most people had one fishing rod. And if they went sea fishing, it was that rod. If they went spinning, it was that rod. If they went float fishing. So having one rod to do everything stuck with me. And then in my work, I was lucky enough to travel a lot. And I love fishing. Fishing's my zen moment. It's relaxation, you don't think about work, pressures. You know, I'm not a great fisherman by any means, although I really now know I'm not a great fisherman because I now hang out with great fishermen.
I'm not one of those, by the way.
Well, it's certainly above me, but everywhere I went, I wanted to fish, and I couldn't find a great travel rod to go with me. I had a Japanese pal who used to come, and he had a Hardy Smuggler, which I couldn't ever afford. And I just had a midlife crisis 10 years ago and thought, I've got to do this. And at that time, name dropping was working in New York and fishing Central Park like any Kendal boy does. You know, could be hitting the nightlife, but I'm sitting at night with the raccoons. And I bought a Daiwa mini spin, 4.5 foot rod, and thought, God, this got to be better. And then I discovered the Eagle Claw Trailmaster. I'm now the proud owner of lots of these. The concept of a spin fly rod in America, and pack rod they call it, was huge in the 50s, 60s, 70s. And this rod does 5 things. It spins, it flies, and I thought, hey ho, why can't we do that? So I got the contacts and we made our first X5, and as you experienced, the butt plug falling out. Technology hadn't moved on, but that was the inspiration, and I never thought it would be a business. I was making a rod for me.
Yeah.
The factory said, look, you can't make 10 rods, so I had to make 50. I've only got 10 mates who want to fish. You give one to your son, you give them to your mates. And I said, I've got 40 rods left, and somebody said, well, stick them on ours. And that's almost 10 years ago, and they all sold it. I thought, hang on, something's going on.
Yeah.
And it evolved from there as a fat kid in the sweet shop process, that you think, well, they've got one rod for this, and then somebody will say, my butt plug's falling out. So you think, okay, we put a screw butt plug in. Somebody says, can you make a bigger one? Somebody says, can you make one for this and for that?
And then it comes to all of
Then
this.
you turn around, and I think we've disrupted the fishing market. People now are understanding that we're not a travel rod brand. We're a fishing rod brand that have fishing rods that do nearly everything in fishing, but they're also
Really compact.
compact. They're also multi-purpose, so I can put one in the back of the car or in my rucksack. And I don't know if I'm going to fly fish or spin fish or bait fish or cast a big weight or cast a little weight, but it'll do it. You know, will it do it like a specialist rod?
Yeah.
You know, probably not. You know, do the fish know you've got a specialist rod? Absolutely not.
So what's the ethos of Rigged and Ready?
Oh,
I think we probably touched on it. Really,
well, I touched on it. I'm from. Somebody once said, I'm a failed athlete. I'm a failed. I never quite ever made it anywhere in sport, but I love sport, and I ended up working in sport and was lucky enough to have senior jobs at Puma, doing the marketing around the world, and then I went into fashion, and we worked with the Olympics and football teams and everything. So sport's always been part of my background, and fishing. And there's no particular active fishing brand, you know, and we want to, we're still not there. We're an active fishing brand for people on the go. And you don't have to be on the go, you can sit there for 5 hours, but you might have travelled there. Or you might, the difference is you might aspire to be on the go. So we all aspire to going to the gym.
Yeah,
but we don't actually go to the gym. So it's an aspirational, should I want to go for a run carrying my fishing rod? I can, however, I'd rather drive to the lake and sit there and fish. In the full knowledge I have to run away with my fishing rod, I could do.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's making fishing active, or having the chance to be active. You know, and you know when we were kids and we had a rod, you know, you went on your bike fishing and you strapped it to your handlebar and it took over the whole space. And now, you know, we've got things, you know, we've got tiny things. This is from Abercrombie and Fitch in the 60s, and it's called the passport rod. And that's the handle to it. They're the pieces, there's 9 pieces. Yeah. And that's another inspiration. At some point we'll get to that point. I mean, that's extreme.
Yeah.
But as somebody once said to me, there's no new good idea, and people say, oh, you're clever for all of this. It's not clever. I've just had the vision to take old ideas and think, how can we make that better?
So let's talk favourites. So what model do you hear the most about?
It still goes down to 2 rods, which are our first 2 rods. The X5 that you discovered with the unique issue, which we've now solved. And the World Traveller. So the X5, it does, as it says, 5 things. It's inspired by the old Eagle Club, and where I'm actually really proud, we're the only guys in the UK now selling the original Eagle Club. That we're re-importing our inspiration from America. And most people come and say, look, I'm either getting into fishing or I want a rod to do everything, and they still. The X5 is a great all-round rod. With a fantastic balance, and it has, due to your inspiration, a screw together butt. So the butt, there is, if anybody can find a name for this part of it other than butt plug, because that's what it is, it has the balance of a decent spinning rod, a versatility. And you can fly fish with it, cast big weights, and it's super compact, goes everywhere. Yeah. So in here you've got the rod that does 5 things, and there's 2 fishing reels. There's a fly reel as well. So the guys really into, who don't know what they want to do, this is what they're still going for. It now has a big brother.
Yeah.
It now has an even bigger influence of the X Ultimate, which does 35 things, which is in the X series. And then we've got the World Traveller. It has 2 different tips, 6 bits. Nothing screws together. They all push together, and simply they can just go and enjoy themselves.
Yeah, and you can get different tips for that one as well.
Absolutely. The tips, people think I'm a genius. Everything's interchangeable. Complete luck. I'm sure James Dyson doesn't say that, but I mean, the tips all interchange between most of our rods. And you can add extra bits to this if you want, if you get a fly handle if you want, but most people are either, I'm going to do lots of different things, in which case it's the X5, or, you know what, I just want a fishing rod that I can take on holiday and sit there, or get on my bike and or go up a mountain. And that's the World Traveller.
So autumn's here now, and fishing is changing from surface fishing for carp and chub, and it's going to heavier types of fishing like pike fishing. So how do the rods handle this crossover?
You've got the option to change the tips. So the X5 will go up to 40 gram, but really that's the max cast weight we say. But if you're careful, you can bring 1800. You can buy an extra tip to it, go to 100 gram. Or if you want a pike fish, you go to the X Max, the bigger brother, and you're going way over 100 gram. I'm using it. Don't mention other fishing brands, but I'm a massive fan of the 300 gram 3D, 4D Savage Gear trout, which I looked at, and it was bigger than most of the things I caught. And now it's my go-to. And then you go, God, I need a fishing rod that I can cast it with. You vary it. I'm not in the business of selling people lots of fishing rods. It goes back to the ethos. You could have one that does everything, but I'm not going to stop somebody. If they want to cast a huge mackerel deadbait for pike, you'll struggle on these two rods.
Yeah, definitely.
But there are options.
There are other options. So any hints on what's next?
Next year's 10 years of Rigged and Ready. I'm a marketing guy by trade, really, and it's a huge opportunity to make a statement about where we are. So it's been in the workings. We're doing a limited edition, special edition of the X5 and the World Traveller to say 10 years, and they'll just be, as I say, done for next year, sold out. Well, hopefully sold out. But it'll probably be 200 units of each one, and that's it. We're bringing in reworking our 2-in-1 fly, which has been a great success.
It's a lovely rod.
Working on a float and feeder rod that's super compact, and that's exciting. To have a rod that literally will be 12 inches long, compact, but when it's out there, it's an 11-foot rod with various tips. And then on top of that, we're going to bring back Tenkara, which I think, again, a bit snooty, but you know this. The Tenkara is just a fish whip. The Japanese
absolutely love the Tenkara rods. Absolutely.
But you don't just have to fly fish with them, as you know. And
I use it to catch live weight when perch fishing and stuff. Sits in my bag. It fits into the inside of the World Traveller or the X5, so you can have a Tenkara rod with you as well. It's just, it's not as big as what I would have hoped it. When you first gave me the Tenkara, I didn't have a clue what it was, and had to do a bit of research into it. And I was like, wow, what a fantastic thing. And I expected you to sell absolutely loads and loads of those.
UK wasn't ready for, and this is another thing that we use similar we use the same factory, don't give away secrets, the biggest American Tenkara brand. So they're retailing their rods for north of $300. And it isn't. We'll be retailing our rods at 50 quid, and it's the same rod. And the thing is, we're trying to get the snootiness away. One of the things that we've not touched upon is we don't sell to retail shops, because the minute we sell to retail shops, the retail price is twice as high. And if you look at a travel rod, normally you make a rod and it's got 3 joints in it. So it takes time to make those joints and make it work and everything else. You make a travel rod, you make 7 joints, you've got 2 1/3 times the amount of work. But we need to keep them. We didn't talk about it, but we need to keep them. I want to keep them, and Joe wants to keep them affordable.
Definitely.
And to do that, we sell direct. So that we're cutting out the middleman. Amazon are a necessary evil. Without Amazon, we wouldn't have existed. But boy, they take a lot of money from what you sell. So the more we can sell on our own websites, then the better. But going back to Tenkara, if people don't know, we're bringing ours out, and it's not called tenkara, it's called a fish stick, because that's what it is. It's a beautifully engineered carbon stick that you can fish with, and if you want to fly fish with it, great. And if you want to put a float on it, we're not snooty enough to say you need a float, and we don't want to charge a fortune.
So a lot of people like the compact and the light gear that you produce in there. So strength always comes up as a question with the multiple joints and things like that. I mean, how is this handled, and then what happens if something does break?
Well, I think any fisherman that's over 6 months into fishing knows that things go wrong with fishing rods. And I agree, the more you cut them up to make various elements, the more chance of things going wrong. So you need to respect a rod, and that's the first thing. When you have any rod, you need to respect it. However, let's agree that things can go wrong. 99% it's the car door, or the kids, or the dog, or whatever, why it goes wrong. So most brands, you talk to them, and I did buy a Hardy Smuggler, and the tip broke, and I rang up Hardy, and they said, well, look, send in the rod. I said, well, you can see the picture, it's broken, it broke on the first cast. Well, you send me the rod, and we'll decide so I would have to post the rod, they decide if it's wrong, they will decide it's not their fault, I have to then pay this money. So we're totally different. Let's face it, things go wrong with fishing rods. 5% of the time that might be a manufacturing error. And if it's a manufacturing error, it will become evident in the first cast. Most of the time it's angler error, either trying to pull out a snag or catching in a door. We all know that. There's an advantage to having multiple sections. That we have a 2-year guarantee that we will get you back fishing. Even if it's angler error, a section to one of our rods has a really minimal cost for each section that you may break or lose. That's the other thing. One of the drawbacks of travel rods, lots of bits, lots of little tips. You can easily lose them. You ring us up, and we'll look after you. We'll get you fishing as fast as we can. We won't ask you to send the rod to us. Send me a picture. I do like people to be honest, because I get some amazing emails.
What's the funniest excuse you've had?
Numerous. My rod has disappeared. I wasn't watching my rod and it's gone. Is it covered by the guarantee? I don't have anything here, and unfortunately we're not that good.
No.
But we've had all sorts of. I don't know what went wrong with it, and Lord, the rods have been run over by a car. You can see the eyes are all flat, and I say, look, guys, just be honest.
Just tell me what happened.
If you tell me what happened, I'll look after you. But and the nature of people is to blame.
Right. So just talking about the rods, let's talk about the construction and what they're made out of.
People always talk to me about what are the rods made of, and why are they so different. And I think we touched upon the actual compact nature of the rod, in which case you have to cut it into really, really small pieces if you want it to fit in a case like this. And that takes work, and it takes time. It's construction time. If you make a complicated garment or whatever, it takes a long. The engineering work time is more. So theoretically, the rods should cost more. And the next thing is, well, how do you keep them so rugged that we have our own unique rod blank material, which is a blend of carbon with graphite. High glass, which high glass is called fiberglass, but it's, as a marketing guide, fiberglass is seen as a sort of retro concept, but it's indestructible. And something called Xylon, and Xylon's used by NASA in the Mars lander. Xylon's 10 times stronger than Kevlar, which make it's a unique blend. Nobody else can copy it. Belongs to us. So firstly, the construction. If you made them out of carbon, 100% carbon, and you made it this short, it would break. it's too fragile. So they have to have a whippiness to them. And then you come on to other things, that how do you get, most travel rods have got a butt that length because all the rod parts are that length. And we said, well actually that's not the feel of a fishing rod. You want a balance. So the wonderful, earlier discussed the butt plug now screws into here. So it should no longer fall out, which is the first time it got us to meet each other. But then you say, okay, I want a real fishing rod feel. So a little bit like a sneaky spy gun. This screws in, very solid, and it's now the perfect balance for a traditional rod. Then you take the other benefit, switch it the other way around, and your rod has changed from being a spin bait rod into a fly rod. Most joints, and I can do a graphic for this, is small male, let's not get into the appendages part again, with a larger female over the top of it, because they've chopped a continual piece of tube, they've chopped it into various parts and one just goes in the other. This is the opposite, this has to be hand finished, that it's large female with small male going into it. Now on the small male, this has also a rubber bung which grips. You know, this has evolved over 9 years. You get better and better, you know, and why do you get better? Because you see little glitches and things you can get rid of. All of this takes work. This has to be hand finished. So that's cut there. That has to be hand finished and hand sanded. The bung has to be epoxied in. So each rod, and what it does, it gives a perfect bend, and we can probably show a graphic for this. You know, I'm a massive lover of the ugly stick, massive fan. But that has a small male into large female, and what you've got is hot spots on the bend. And we don't have hot spots. God, I'm not knocking the ugly stick because it is, you know, a major influence on what we have. And coming on to that, the X5 has 4 tips, something up 40 grams, but 60 is not an issue, regular tip. All of these are made out of fiberglass. You know why? They're damn near indestructible, although our customers try their very best and means to destruct them, but there's nothing better. Carbon again, we've at times used carbon tips and they break and too often, but you know you can really bend that round and it's not going to break. And you can go to the extreme, and we've got the X Ultimate there with, oh God knows how many tips, 7 different tips, but they're all fiberglass, exactly like the ugly stick tips. You know, we've taken ideas from everybody. Daiwa had a single joint construction in the 80s, and this is Eagle Claws construction, however with improvements. So although it looks like when you see the rods put together, they look like fishing rods, but there's a hell of a lot gone into it and a lot of work, and people say, oh, you know, the price of it, there's a hell of a lot of work to actually make a 7-piece rod with 4 different tips.
Right, so Rigged and Ready's growing in the UK and you've now branched into the US. What's the differences that you see between the two markets?
I think an unmitigated love of fishing in the US, not just from you perceive in the UK, it's a male, older, becoming younger in the UK, so that's great, but it's male orientated. In the US, everybody's fishing, male, female, doesn't matter any age. You can buy a Barbie fishing rod, or an Action Man fishing rod, or an Iron Man fishing rod for kids. And however, there's a difference in the fishing. That in America it's pure enjoyment, but it's still barbed fishing. A lot of time caught to eat. They'll perceive carp as actually vermin. You know, so it's a catch and eat, and it's a huge country, so you know that's the mentality of it. Whereas here, you know, the Americans are mortified that we're fish for carp, and even more mortified that we might catch it, photograph it, tell all our friends about it, and then put it back in for my mate to catch it the next week. They just can't fathom that.
No, it's the same with the Eastern Europeans. They can't understand it.
No, and you know from your Polish connection, I lived in Germany. You know, carp at Christmas Day is what they want, and everybody's got a carp bath to freshen their carp up. But yeah, it's different. But however, our opportunity, the market's 10 times bigger. We're not well known. We're still a secret in the UK, but we're getting to be a bigger secret, and the sort of message is getting out there. In the US, we're almost unheard of. People that are finding us are going, oh my God, even from the big rods, our S-Max, which I designed for sort of pike dead baiting, a bit of beach casting. They're going, I'm using this for catfish fishing, whatever, or I'm using it in Aruba, casting 300 gram lures for Hawaii and all these things. I'm going, well, who am I to tell you what it's for? If it works and it's a lure rod and it's 13 foot long, hey, and you love it. So it's a huge opportunity. And as we always have done, we'll go slowly.
So if a US angler wants one rigged and ready rod, what would you say to start?
Well, it has to be our Predator Max. And the big difference in the market, predominantly 50% to 60% of all anglers are bait casting in America, and probably here 5%. And with the Predator Max, we've invented the only fishing rod with a little micro trigger here that works just as well bait casting and just as well spin fishing. Why nobody's ever done that before, I don't know. I do have a feeling that it's because they prefer to sell you two rods. So the eyes are hybrid setup to work for bait casting and spin fishing, so they're closer together. A little bit of compromise, but it's not only got the handle, it's got 4 different cast weights, 4 different lengths. It's pure carbon rod, so it's not the same as the smugglers. It's a stiffer action, but the American guys love it. Is it still a secret? Yeah. Will we put that handle on some of the rods for the US? Yes. Will we do a bait cast only rod? We've already done it. It's one thing changing fishing in the UK, or trying to, another thing trying to change America. We haven't got that power, but we can add to it.
Yeah. So community seems very, very baked into the ethos of Rigged and Ready. So what local projects do you help out with?
I'm a passionate supporter of the Lake District and think we have some of the best fishing in the country. It was the destination. You look at the history of fishing. All Beatrix, Potter, Wordsworth, all anglers. Why were they here? They're all anglers. We've got most of the best place for free fishing. Windermere's free fishing, Coniston's free fishing, Ullswater. And so what do? We've done a booklet, a free fishing booklet. On the wall behind me, we've done a free fishing map of Kendal, done in a very youthful style. We support a lot of kids clubs. I'm now the secretary of Kent Angling for my sins, and they call me lad, which is great because I'm 62. So imagine what the rest of them are. But with Carlson's fishing shop in Kendal, we're all promoting kids fishing. There's a boom. The EA have said in Kendal and the South Lakes area, there's over 100% rise in junior EA tickets.
Right.
And the Kent Angling, we've got members coming out of our junior members, 20 quid a year as a junior, or if you're at school or in any education, so you can be 21. 20 quid a year to fish 8 miles of the Kent, and I know you fish it. We've made fishing accessible. We're part of becoming part of the community. Again, working with the fishing shop, and it's great. You go out and you see people fishing with your rods. Well, I go to the pub in the logo, and somebody goes, "I've got one of your rods." You go, "Oh my God!" We've fame, 15 minutes of fame.
So for me, it all started with the X5 adventure that the missus brought me for Christmas 5 years ago, and now I've pretty much swapped out all of my two-piece rods for these compact, versatile rods that Rigged and Ready produce. And that's the journey that's brought me here, and I know there's plenty of you watching that will have your own stories of discovering Rigged and Ready rods as well. So let's just take a look at some of these rods in action and some other views of what the customers think about these absolutely fantastic, versatile and compact fishing rods.
Rigged and Ready travel rods make it 10 times easier for us to travel on the bus, so we can fish places like this.
The Smuggler Max by Rigged and Ready is my favourite heavy duty rod. Perfect for beach fishing, pier fishing, carp, pike, catfish fishing. It's heavy duty and it's perfect for everything. It's my absolute favourite rod.
It's an X5, Rigged and Ready, travel fishing kit, and it's brilliant. You can sea fish with it, you can coarse fish with it, you can fly fish with it. It comes with a fly fishing reel and an RR3000 Rigged and Ready reel with 2 spools, so I've got a spinning braid on that. 5 fishing rods in one.
I went on the most epic 12-day, 375-kilometer solo canoe trip across the Yukon wilderness. I caught a ton of fish and I took the X5 adventure travel rod.
I live here now in Hokkaido, Japan, and use my rods every single day, whether that's in my guiding operations or for personal use.
Saving space is so important. That's why I always fish with Rigged and Ready travel rods. Fantastic, easy to carry, lightweight, and they do a great job.
My favourite Rigged and Ready rod is the Max CP combo because I can fish for carp with it, and it fits in my little car. It's strong, compact and perfect for my fishing trip.
I love fishing and I love hiking and exploring too, and that is why I fish with Rigged and Ready rods. Not only are they multi-purpose, they're also compact enough to fit into a rucksack.
So there we go, that is Rigged and Ready in a nutshell. Thank you for watching this video. I'll stick a link to Rigged and Ready in the description below there. And if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. My name is Martin, I'm into my hiking, my fishing, my bushcraft and just generally being outdoors. And hopefully we'll catch you next time on the next one.